Hello friends, welcome to the next lecture of Avalanche Effect. In the previous lecture of DES algorithm, we have discussed about what are the basic principles of block cipher, what is a feastal structure, how that feastal structure helps in substitution and permutation process, and how then that particular feastal structure is used by rest of the block cipher algorithms for performing the encryption and decryption process. Now when the encryption and decryption process goes on, and for the encryption and decryption, the substitution and permutation of the bits of the plain text happens. It then leads to the process of it then leads to the two effects, that is confusion and diffusion. We have already seen what is the concept of the confusion and diffusion, and now we have to see another effect of the block ciphers on the plain text and then on the ciphertext, and that effect is known as the avalanche effect. So let's begin with the lecture. Avalanche effect in cryptography. In cryptography, the avalanche effect is a term associated with the special behavior of mathematical functions used in the encryption. In the cryptography, avalanche effect is considered as a special term of mathematics for the encryption process. Avalanche effect is considered as one of the desirable property of an encryption algorithm. That is, a slight change in either the plain text or the key should then result in the significant change in the ciphertext. And this property is termed as the avalanche effect. That means if any single bit is getting changed in key or in plain text, it will then result in a significant change in the number of bits in the ciphertext. And this significant change of formation of the ciphertext by changing too many bits with respect to only one single change in the key or in the plain text is known as the avalanche effect. In simple words, it quantifies the effect on the ciphertext with respect to the small change in the plain text or in the key. Guys, just note one point. One thing is very clear, that in this avalanche effect, we don't have to do much of the changes with the plain text or with the key. We only have to do single bit change, or we only have to do simple change with the key or with the plain text, which will give you the significant change in the ciphertext, which then again helps you enhancing the security of your ciphertext, and also it will then make very difficult for the untracker or for the intruder to get the ciphertext or to get the idea of it. So here you can see that if the input is 0000, hash function is being implemented on it, then what significant changes of the output you can get. I mean, for these 4 bits, we can get changed in the ciphertext in these many bits. Similarly, 0001 if is the input, after implementation of the hash functionality, what can be the output. That means you can see that with these small changes, you can have significant change in your ciphertext, which helps in improving your security. Even though the concept of the avalanche effect was identified by Shannon's property of confusion, the term was mentioned by Horst Feastel. The nomenclature was given by the Horst Feastel, that is avalanche effect. To implement a strong cipher or cryptographic hash function, This should be considered as the primary design objective. That means whatever the design objectives are there for the cryptographic functionalities or for different encrypted algorithms or techniques, we should first consider that strong cipher should be implemented, or not implemented, but the strong cipher should be achieved at the end of the encryption process. Okay, so to implement a strong cipher or cryptographic hash function, that is a proper way should be followed for the implementation of the hash functionalities, which are then used for the cryptography. And all these things should be considered as the primary design objectives for the implementation of the strong ciphers. Also, the good encryption algorithm should satisfy the following relation of that avalanche effect should be greater than that of the 50%, greater than that of the 50% of the process, or we can say that of the encryption algorithm. That means an encryption algorithm should satisfy the relation which is now considered as the avalanche effect should be greater than the 50%. This effect ensures that an attacker cannot easily predict the plain text through a statistical analysis. It is very much sure that if only a single bit of change in the plain text is making the complete ciphertext, or more than 10 bits or more than 15 bits are being getting changed with only a single bit change in the plain text, it becomes very difficult for the data analyst, or it becomes very difficult for the attackers or for the intruders to predict the plain text, to predict the key. And therefore through the statistical analysis also, it becomes very difficult for the attacker to easily predict the plain text. And therefore this effect ensures that attackers shouldn't easily get the data, shouldn't easily attack the data. Generally, an encryption algorithm doesn't satisfy this property and can favor an easy statistical analysis. That is, if the alteration in a single bit of the input results in the change of only single bit of the desired output, then it's easy to crack the encrypted text. It is very understood that if I'm changing one single bit of input in my plain text, and because of that single input, I can directly go through, or I can directly recollect what are the changes, or what is the change that has just happened in my ciphertext if the one byte of the plain text is dropped at the sun's end. That means whoever is doing that is changing in the bit, it is giving you the desired output. That is, the alteration of a single bit of the input should result in the change of only single bit of the desired output. If these things are there, then it is easily able to crack your encrypted text. And therefore, to avoid all these things, the avalanche effect helps in increasing your security of the data. So the only concept which here tells that a change in the single bit will not change only a single bit in the ciphertext, but it will modify so many of the bits in your plain text, which will then help in enhancing the security of your security of your information before getting transferred over the network. Thank you.